Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Aurobindaya. Om Anandamayi. Om Chaitanyamayi. Om Satyamayi. Om Paramayi. Om Namo Nama Mirambikaye. Prayers and Meditations. April 1st, 1914. I feel we have entered the very heart of thy sanctuary and grown aware of thy very will. A great joy, a deep peace reign in me. And yet all my inner constructions have vanished like a vain dream, and I find myself now before thy immensity, without a frame or system, like a being not yet individualized. All the past in its external form seems ridiculously arbitrary to me, and yet I know it was useful in its own time. But now all is changed. A new stage has begun. The vision of the world spirit, time the destroyer. Taken from Essays on Gita by Sri Aurobindo. What thou hast to see, replies the avatar, the human eye cannot grasp, for the human eye can see only the outward appearances of things or make out of them separate symbol forms, each of them significant only a few aspects of the eternal mystery. But there is a divine eye, an inmost seeing by which the Supreme Godhead in His yoga can be beheld, and that eye I now give to thee. Thou shalt see, he says, my hundreds and thousands of divine forms, various in kind, various in shape and hue, Thou shalt see the Adityas and the Rudras and the Maruts and the Aswins. Thou shalt see many wonders that none has beheld. Thou shalt see today the whole world related and unified in my body, and whatever else thou willest to behold. Prayer to Sri Aurobindo. To thee who has been the material envelope of our Master, to thee our infinite gratitude. Before thee who has worked, who has done so much for us, who has worked, struggled, suffered, hoped, endured so much. Before thee who has willed all, attempted all, prepared, achieved all for us. Before thee we bow down and implore that we may never forget even for a moment all we owe to thee. The Mother's sweet holy tears. I prepared the feast. It was a banquet. I prepared for men instead of life of misery and suffering, of obscurity and ignorance. I brought to them a life of light and joy and freedom. I took all the pains the task demanded, and when it was ready, I offered it to mankind to partake of it. But man, in his foolishness and pig-headedness, rejected it, did not want it. He preferred to remain in his dark, miserable hole. Now what am I to do with my feast? I cannot let it go waste, throw it to the winds. So I offered it to my Lord and laid it at his feet. He accepted it. He alone can enjoy it and honor it. The feast is that of transformation, the divine life on earth. Man is not capable of it naturally, cannot attain it by his own effort or personal worth. It is the divine who is to bring it down himself. He is to manifest himself and thus establish His own life here below. Then only will it be possible for the human creature to open to the urgency of the new beauty and offer is surrender. It was not easy to prepare the feast. I had to bear the full load of the cross and ascend the Calvary. Jesus, as he mounted to his destiny, with the cross on his back, stumbled often and fell, and rose again with bruised limbs to begin again the arduous journey. Even so, this being too had to go through many disillusions and deceptions, many painful and brutal experiences. It was not a smooth and straight going, but a tortuous and dangerous ascent. But a tortuous and dangerous ascent. But at the end of the tunnel, there is always the light. The Calvary and the crucifixion culminated in the resurrection. The divine passion of Christ flowered in recompense. Here too, after all, the dark and adverse vicissitudes lies the fulfillment of transformation. One must pass through the entire valley of death and rise to the topmost summit to receive and achieve the fullness of the glory. One must leave behind all the lower ranges of ignorance, the entire domain of human consciousness, come out of the imperfection man is made of. Then only will he put on the divine nature as his own body and substance. The cross symbolizes all the suffering and difficulty, the renunciation and self-denudation that the ascent to the goal involves. The Calvary of the Christian legend means ascension and resurrection is transformation in our sadhana. The cross is also symbolic of the transformed consciousness. It has 3 branches and represents the triple divine. The divine in his 3 modes of existence. The top branch, the vertical portion above the transverse line, stands for the supreme or transcendent divine, one who is above manifestation. The middle, the transverse or horizontal branch, stands for the expanse of the universal consciousness, the cosmic divine. And the bottom portion, the vertical line below, the transverse, stands for individual divine immanent or embedded in the manifestation. You will note that the flower we call transformation has a form similar to the cross. The Mother, Prayers and Meditations. Page 722, Book 12, Epilogue. The Return to Earth. Glittering of ornaments, fluttering of hymns. Hundreds of hands parted the forest boughs. Hundreds of eyes searched the entangled glades. Calm, white-clad priests, their grey-white sweetness brought. Strong warriors in their glorious armor shone. The proud hooved steeds came trampling through the wood. In front, King Duimatsena walked, no more blind, faltering limbed, but his far questing eyes, restored to all their confidence in light, took seeingly this imaged outer world. Firmly he trod with monarch step the soil. By him that queen and mother's anxious face came change from its habitual burdened look, which in its drooping strength of tired toil had borne the fallen life of those she loved. Her patient paleness wore a pensive glow, like evening's subdued gaze of gathered light departing, which foresees sunrise her child. Sinking in quiet splendors of her sky, she lives awhile to muse upon that hope, the brilliance of a rich receding gleam, a thoughtful prophecy of lyric dawn. Her eyes were first to find her children's forms, but at the vision of the beautiful vein the air awoke, perturbed with scaling cries, and the swift parents hurrying to their child, their cause of life now, who had given him breath, possessed him with their arms. Then tenderly cried Duimasena, chiding Satyavan, "The fortunate gods have looked on me today. A kingdom seeking came and heaven's rays. But where wast thou? Thou hast tormented gladness with fear's dull shadow. O my child, my life, what danger kept thee from the darkening woods? Or how could pleasure in a ways forget that useless orbs without thee are my eyes, which only for thy sake rejoice at light? Not like thyself was this done, Savitri, who leddest not back thy husband to our arms, knowing with him beside me only his taste. In food and for his touch, evening and morn, I live content with my remaining days." But Satyavan replied with smiling lips, "Lay all on her, she is the cause of all. With the enchantment she has twined me round. Behold, at noon, leaving this house of clay, I wandered in far off eternities. Yet, still, a captive in a golden hands, I tread your little hillock called green earth, and in the moments of your transient sun, live glad among the busy works of men." Then all eyes turned their wondering looks where stood a deepening redder gold upon her cheeks, with lowered lids, the noble lovely child, and one consenting thought moved every breast. What gleaming marvel of the earth or sky stands silently by human Satyavan, to mark a brilliance in the dusk of eve? If this she of whom the world has heard, wonder no more at any happy change, each easy miracle of felicity, of a transmuting heart, the alchemy is. Then one spoke there who seemed a priest and sage. O woman soul, what light, what power revealed, working the rapid marvels of this day, opens for us by thee a happier age? Her lashes fluttering upwards gathered in to a vision which had scanned immortal things, rejoicing human forms for their delight. They claim for their deep childlike motherhood the life of all these souls to be her life, then falling veiled the light. Lo, she replied, awakened to the meaning of my heart, that to feel love and oneness is to live, and this is the magic of our golden change, is all the truth I know or seek, O sage, wondering at her and her two luminous words. Westward they turned in the fast gathering night. Prayer for peace. I request each one of you to offer this prayer as a gratitude to the spirit of Aurobindo as we conduct usual global gathering for the welfare of our fellow family, relatives, and the people around us. Let us be representative to offer the prayer for peace, for happiness, for light, and for joy. Dear Mother, peace, peace upon all the earth. May all escape from the ordinary consciousness and be delivered from the attachment for material things. May they awake to the knowledge of Thy divine presence, unite themselves with Thy supreme consciousness, and taste the plenitude of peace that springs from it. Lord, Thou art the sovereign master of our being. Thy law is our law, and with all our strength we aspire to identify our consciousness with Thy eternal consciousness, that we may accomplish Thy sublime work in each thing and at every moment. Lord, deliver us from all care for contingencies. Deliver us from the ordinary outlook on things. Grant that we may henceforth see only with Thy eyes and act only by Thy will. Transform us into living torches of Thy divine love. With reverence, with devotion, in a joyful consecration of our whole being, we give ourselves, O Lord, to the fulfillment of Thy law. Peace, peace upon all the earth. We offer our birthday greetings from Aurobindo to our collective family. Let us spread faith as we read about the Christ crucifixion, which our Divine Mother is the clear symbol of the crucifixion, resurrection, and the feast. Let us be great warriors and collaborators to the light which we are aspiring for in form of collective aspiration. We offer our prayers to the feet of Divine Mother and the Lord. Greetings from Aurobindo. Thanks for your presence. Good night.